Hi, folks. Welcome back to another interview. This is our third interview where I'm talking to Tim Davis. Tim interviewed me first, then I interviewed Tim back in October 2023, and it's been that long since we haven't got together and talked. It's been a good while. So we thought we'd get together and have a catch up because Joomla is now going into version 6. Version 6 is available. So we have a list of questions. Well, I have a list of questions here that I sent over to Tim, and I said we'll go through these questions regarding Joomla 6 and general questions regarding Joomla. So good evening, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Alan. It's good to get together with you. Yeah, when you sent me the message about doing another interview, I thought, wow, that time has really flown by.
It's amazing how it goes by. So, for people who haven't seen our last interviews, just give us a brief synopsis of who you are and what you do for them.
Yeah, I'm Tim Davis, and my company is CyberCell Consulting. I live in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, at the southern tip of Vancouver Island. So that lighthouse behind me is about 10 minutes from my house. I'm married. My wife Susan and I are celebrating our 40th anniversary coming up in August, and we
Very
have
good.
three kids. They're married, and we have six grandkids altogether. So, so CyberSalt, I'm doing consulting. I do web hosting. We're doing all the Joomla stuff and development now as well. And I just recently bought two template companies, but I can talk to you about that more later on if you want. But yeah.
Super duper. Well, Tim, I always say this, and I'm still going to give you credit for it. I know you're very humble, but Tim he does Joomla tutorials on YouTube, and his tutorials have saved my skin on a number of occasions. As with a lot of people on the internet, they've gone over to the tutorials and they go and watch the video and go, that's how you do it. That's the problem I have. And Tim's just explained how to fix it. So credit to Tim and his tutorials. He does a great job. For myself, if people say, well, who are you, Alan? Well, I'm just a guy who's been using Joomla since 1.5. My background is corporate. I used to be a corporate IT manager. And I've done a lot of other techie things in the background. I also am into radio communications. I'm a licensed ham operator, or amateur radio over here in Europe, ham in the US. And I love techie things, and I love doing techie stuff, and whether that's AI or whether it's building with Arduino or ESP32, or, I like finding problems and then coming up with a solution for it. That's kind of what I do. So, and my YouTube channel is just all about me doing all sorts of stuff, covering all sorts of stuff, and making all sorts of stuff. Not necessarily techie stuff. Some of it is steampunk. I like doing steampunk stuff, funky lights and stuff. So we have a list of questions here. Now, I want to give apologies to the viewers, because when I put this list together, we did say we will get together, and then time flies, months go by, and then we actually get together. And some of the questions on this, I'll have to try and jog my memory on it. And maybe Tim will probably know what it means anyway. So we'll start off with the first one on the list. And this is hopefully going to help a lot of Joomla users as well. And the first one was a common problem, I believe, in Joomla, the PHP temp folder not set warning message. Again, I think I went over to your website and over to your YouTube channel, and I think you had this dealt with. But it's a common problem in Joomla regarding the paths commands and the temp folder. So tell us what your experience is with that, and what we have to do with that.
Yeah, so I have a video about that. But basically, for the most part, you just have to live with it. It's not really a Joomla issue, it's a shared hosting environment issue. So if for instance I could make that error go away on my for my clients on my server by setting that to something common, but then they would all be using the same location. So if someone visited my site and was doing something in a shopping cart and something was saved to the temp folder, then someone else might be doing something on their site to get saved to the same thing. So there's a crossover. I now whether that actually happens with a shopping cart or something, I don't know. But it's just to prevent multiple Joomla sites that are owned by different accounts or different people from all delving into this, having access or having exposure to that same temp folder. So I'm one that really likes to have all of the boxes green and all of the check marks and everything. But that's the one in shared hosting that you just have to live with, and it's not a problem with Joomla. It's just a security thing on the hosting. If you if you were running in local, or if you had your own server, and you could set that, and then you wouldn't have that problem. So it's just a security reality, and it really it doesn't cause problems on good hosts. So yeah, so that's that. So right off the top of the list, something I can't fix.
Okay. Well, I think just a workaround. I think I found that, and you probably have a workaround to it, regarding the changing because there's two. The one is the temp folder, and then there's another one as well. There's another folder. There's two folders that kind of you have to sort out the path command with. One was temp. I forget what the other one was. I need to look and see
Well,
it.
in the global configuration, there's the path. You put the path for the temp folder, and you put the path for the log folder.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And those, so you do have to set a temp folder, so that, because Joomla still needs to write to the temp folder, you just not that big system one that's looking for. So you have to have that. So if you mess up the path for the temp folder in the configuration file, then you might find you can't install extensions, because when you're installing them, it can't write to that place if it can't get to it. So
yeah, I did come across that a few years ago about not being able to upload components or modules and stuff like that, and I think it was a temp issue. All right. Okay. Well, the one thing that needs to be said, for me anyway, I'm a user of Gantry 5, and I've used Gantry 5 for a good few years now, and I use it on all my sites. And I nearly fell off my chair when I found out about Gantry actually closing down. And then after, I think, a few weeks, there was an announcement from a Tiger12.com company saying that they will take over Gantry 5. They will continue it, and they'll keep it open source, and we can carry on using it. And I kind of went, thank God, because what am I going to do now with my sites who are all Gantry 5? So what is your take on that? Because I don't know whether you use Gantry 5, do you?
no, I used to, but yeah. So I interviewed, I think his name is Gene, who took it over, and it was really nice because his company used Gantry so much they wanted to keep it going, and they actually got in touch with the owner of Gantry, who was shutting down, and came up with this plan, so much so that all of the assets, like the domain and all that, were transferred to the is it Tiger 12 that you said? Is that the
Tiger12.com?
Yeah. So so they're keeping it going. Now, the one caveat to that is, when I talked to him, they were not going to keep up the Rocket theme templates to make them work in later versions. And he said, of the two free ones in Gantry, which are Helium and Hydrogen, that he thought that if only one of those survived, it would probably be Helium. But so I don't know if that's the case, or if both are still working. That said, I have for a client contacted me, and I did get a Rocket theme template working in the latest Gantry in Joomla 6. So it can be done. So if you've got old Gantry templates that aren't working with the latest Gantry that's out, it can be done.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because it was a concern for me, and the reason why I like Gantry is the flexibility. Now, I know is a T4 T2 works. Also, it's like kind of Gantry version, but it's more. I think it's more user friendly than Gantry because you can do online, you can design straight away with it, directly with it, and design templates from scratch. Where Gantry is more like a framework. I think the T4, I think it's a T4 or T2. It's a framework, but also you can design with it. Where Gantry is just purely a framework.
Yeah, I think I mean, T4 is a framework as well. I just know that just from updating it on client sites or working on sites for people because that you have to go and get the latest T4 framework. But yeah, I didn't know that it works with it works with Gantry stuff. I guess it's particles is what the Gantry uses. They're they're not quite like modules, but you know, they have a particle for a slideshow. They have a particle for the different things, and then you just assign them where you want the position in the gantry layout, and you know, and they have their own interface that where you know you get, you know, your people are familiar with using whatever they use, so you can go in and you know, oh, I'm you know, for instance, they have the base templates, and then you customize a different view or a different copy of it, and you just know where to click, and you just find your way around, and yeah, it's an interface. So
Yeah, no, I wasn't actually talking about T4 and Gantry on the same site.
okay,
Just two separate frameworks. Where you're right there. That is, it's a separate thing. But I think you have more design options with T4 than you do with Gantry. Gantry, my understanding, well, not using Gantry, it's more of a framework. And although T4 is a framework, I think you can design with it as well.
yeah.
You know,
And when we have clients that want us to migrate their Joomla site from 3 to 4, and their template is no longer supported for 4, we've been recreating them in Template Creator CK, which isn't a framework, but it's really nice for designing because you can make the template look almost the same as the one that you're trying to match. And then you can also give it the same module positions. So it really streamlines that. And it's not a framework, so it's very light and fast. But
but we are going to be talking about templates because I have a little issue with the Joomla templates and the whole working with Joomla templates. So we'll get down to that. It's on the list. I,
good.
I've added it on. Right, number 3, Joomla 6 updates changes backward compatibility plugins. Now, I'm where I am at the moment. I have my sites are all Joomla 5.
Mhm.
The latest update has come out for Joomla 5. I think one of my sites that got updated today. I'll have to do the other two tomorrow. And the I do have one Mickey Mouse test site which I actually ran the Joomla 6 update on, and it seemed to work fine. But I'm always hesitant doing them major updates, which I would call a major update going from 5 to 6, because when you're dealing with a live site, which is a business site, or whatever site you're doing, and it's a live site, and you do an update, and then it doesn't work or something happens, you go, oh my God, here we go. It's that kind of, now I know your background is you're probably dealing with that all the time with customers ringing you going, Tim, I've just tried to do an update and it didn't work. And you're the person to go and fix the problem. I know a little bit of Joomla, but I don't know, most of Joomla. I know how to fix a few problems, but I'm not an expert. What's your take on that with Joomla 6 going from 5 to 6, and what's your experience with it?
Yeah. So uh, Joomla, if it runs in Joomla 4, being an extension or whatever, it will run in Joomla 5 if the backwards behavior uh, plugin is on in Joomla 5. It will run what's in 4. So, and I've only ever seen like 2 cases where something really strange happened and that wasn't true. And they both times it was Hika shop, and that was a long time ago. So I bet you that's not even an issue now. The nice thing about that is that if if you turn off the backwards compatibility or backwards behavior compatibility plugin in Joomla 5, you will quickly see if you have anything on there that is not Joomla 5 native, because you'll get errors And so all you need to do is go back into the database and turn that plugin back on, and then it should come back unless you have some strange caching thing happening. So let's suppose that you have got your Joomla 5 site so that everything runs without that plugin on. Then you know that that your site is Joomla 5 native. So then if it runs Joomla 5 native, it will run in Joomla 6 because Joomla 6 has its own backwards behavior plugin, a compatibility plugin. The one in 5 actually says Joomla 5 in it, but that now it's just the one in 6 just has the generic name. And then you are safe to update. Now, in the case of a live site, especially an e-commerce site, I like to use StageIt. Now, StageIt is an extension from phpwebdesign.com. It's a company owned by Barnaby Dixon. He's in the UK. But I'm actually doing the development and support for his extensions because he has an extension, Migrate Me 4, which years ago, which is great and is still great for moving from Joomla 3 to Joomla 4. And then, of course, then from 4, you just go right into 5 once you get that working. And he was so busy with projects outside of Joomla that he couldn't support that. He was going to take it down. And I contacted him. I said, "No, this is really great." Anyways, we worked out a deal where I was doing the support and development for that and for his other extensions. The main one is StageIt, where it makes a copy of your website in a subfolder in your website. It duplicates all of your tables in the same database, and then you log into the copy of the site, and then you can test and do whatever you want. You can turn off the backwards compatibility plugin, and if you get the white screen of death or errors or whatever, your live site is fine. You can figure it out, and then you make a note. Then you can, you just go back and refresh that staging copy. And then maybe, let's say you find out that extension ABC is not Joomla 5 native, but there's an update. You get it, you install it, and it works. Then you check that off. Then you can do that update on your live site because you've already tested it and it works. And you just kind of rule it down to the point where it's like, hey, this is all working now. So then you have a choice. You can push the site live, the staging site to live, which replaces everything on the live site. Although I got a ticket today for that. There is a mechanism where you can exclude some tables if you're really confident knowing what you don't want to write over. But apparently that didn't work for some of the days, so I have to look into it later on. It's risky, but if you make a copy of a site, you can make a copy of a site with a Kiva backup and install it in another subdomain. That's very manual, and if you're going to do that, if you have to do that 3 or 4 or 5 times to test things, it gets it's time consuming. Also in cPanel, there's Softaculous, which will make a copy of a Joomla site, and then you could use that for testing as well. I don't trust Softaculous as much because you can update Joomla sites with Softaculous, but it just does the install. It's not intimate with the extensions. So for me, not only do I benefit from people buying StageIt, but it is really fast and very easy for making copies and spinning them up. So if it works in 4, it'll work in 5. If you can run 5 without the backwards compatibility plugin running, then you're fine to go to 6, and then you have the compatibility plugin running there. Then you just do the same testing, because if you can turn that off and your whole site works, then it's running in Joomla 6 native and or Joomla 6.1, because that just came out on Tuesday, and then you're off to the races. So
Yeah, no, it's quite interesting. And I suppose while we're on the subject, we might as well mention it. I did put a post up on the Joomla user group about, um, again, templates and about the whole design thing. So, yeah, and my query was basically, you have a live site and you want to refresh the template, and when you want to have a new template. So I wanted to know what people did regarding that, because you can't be switching off a live site, work on a template, change the template, and then come back on. Because people go, well, if you've got an e-commerce site, people want to buy some products, and you can't be switching it off. So obviously the amount of people that were on there who gave great feedback on the group, they said, like yourself, you mentioned stage it. Other people said, well, what you do is take a backup of your site, restore it, have a play with it, get it, the way you want it, and then obviously, um, you can restore that site and switch it over. And I'm just kind of saying, well, I'm not like a Joomla expert. I know Joomla enough, but I wouldn't be comfortable switching things around because you're dealing with live sites. And my query really was, surely maybe Joomla 7, I don't know, surely there's a way. Because the other side of this argument is that, being an IT guy, being a corporate IT guy, I always believed in the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. And when you start piling in other programs and everything else, it's just like really complicates things. It creates more possibilities of it crashing and you having problems. And to me, that's looking for trouble. So what I was thinking out loud in my mind, being kind of a solutions guy, was to say, by Joomla 7, what you could do is you could actually, um, build a template, maybe the T4, it's like the T4 framework maybe, but you could actually redesign a template, and maybe Joomla could design a product that, is separate to Joomla. I just don't know. I'm just thinking about ideas, but the idea would be you can design the template based on your current configuration. And then when you have that template designed, you export it and then you import it like a normal template, and hey presto, everything's there. And it's just basically a quick switch like a template, and it's all done and dusted. For me, that makes sense as a kind of, I won't say non-technical user because I have a technical background, but to make it easy as upgrading templates, just to make it simple without overcomplicating with doing other things like restores, backup restores, and all that kind of stuff. What's your take on that?
Yes. So we have done we have developed new templates on live sites, and what we do is we install the template. It's not assigned to any menu item. Then we create a hidden menu item and assign the template to that one. And then we have somewhere that we can preview what it looks like. One of the challenges of going with a different template is probably the menu position, the module positions are going to be different. So you might have to, so let's say you have a login module in Cassiopeia and it's assigned to side, is there side A? I think there's side A in Cassiopeia, or that's it. Would assign it to top A, and then the template that you're going to doesn't have top A. It's got up top, just to be ridiculous. And so you install, so on that template when you're previewing it, the login article is not going to be there. Module is not going to be there. So duplicate the login module and assign it to up top, and you can still have it assigned to every page because the up top module position is only showing up in that one location. And then once you've got that page working really well and looking, and your module's duplicated, if you're happy, then what you can do is, and do it late at night when nobody's shopping on your site. What you can do is you can make it the default template, and then start visiting through the site and see if you've missed anything. And if you have missed something, just make it not the default template anymore. But yeah, your point about exporting and importing is good too, because there are templates where you can export the whole template and then import it in another Joomla site. So Template Creator CK does that. And so we've also done that where we've worked on a copy of the site, a staging copy of the site, got everything working really well. And because with Template Creators UK, you can do you can make the positions the same as the existing template that you were using. And then once you've got that copied site working really well, then you would export the template and then import it into your live site and make it go live. But you have to keep notes too, because if you change some CSS, you want to make sure that comes over. If you make changes like, oh, okay, now's a good time to make other changes, you'd have to duplicate those module changes or additions or removals or content. So yeah, and I agree with that whole KISS principle, keeping it short, stupid, because then so I would get the template working on the live site, and then once you've got that done, then you can go on and continue to develop your site. If you want to change content, if you want to add a module or remove something or other things, yeah, just try not to do everything all at once. I mean, you can do it, but that's where it gets really confusing.
Well, here's an idea that I was thinking about the template thing. So you're right. The idea that you said is you install the template, you set up a menu option, and then for you to work on the template and test it, you click on the menu option and it'll bring you over there and you can walk away. So what about having an option on a module or a setting called ghosting, right? And what will happen is that when you go to add a module to the new template you're working on, one of the options will be, do you want to ghost this module? And if you say yes, that means that it will know that because it's a ghost module, that it won't be affecting the live site and the live template, right?
Yep.
And then what you can do is when you have that template, if you have that template ready and it looks well and it's functioning because you'll be able to test it, then what you can do is disable all ghost modules and then it's active and ready to go. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. What do you think of that?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, that's what you're doing by having the module only assigned to the menu item to show up. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I mean, if you had actual system there, I mean, I'm just thinking, I mean, you would just build it in and say, don't show this on pages with this template. I really like Regular Labs. They used to, they're like, for instance, Advanced Module Manager. Peter has that now as conditions instead of, and so you can actually create a condition which would be testing template, and then you would just automatically say, yeah, this is only assigned to this menu item. I don't know if you can get conditionally do it with just a template type. That'd be interesting. But then you would just assign all your work to that, and then later on, when you want to go live, you would change that condition to show on all pages. But yeah, no, I like, yeah, and that's that's where we're at right now, and I know we'll get to this eventually, but that's where we're at right now with AI encoding, because you can, if you want something really unique like that that works just that way for you, that nobody else can see the vision for, you just do it.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. And with the advent of AI, which we're going to get to, and we're going to be talking about that. But yeah, it's interesting because I'm trying to think of, again, solutions to make it easy for people to do certain things, which is not going to affect the live site, and you're not overloading the site with other plugins and stuff, because you could be chasing your tail when there's a problem. And
and the two template sites or companies that I bought, one of the things I realized was that that they have fixed module positions. And so like I'm a module that has position 1, position 2, position 3 doesn't tell me anything really when I'm trying to think of where to assign something unless I have intimate knowledge of the template. So that's where I like top one, top two, or bottom or sidebar A, you know, something that's a little bit descriptive.
Descriptive, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I thought that one of the things that I would investigate with these templates that I have now is the ability to change the module positions and give them different names so that it would be easier to use them on an existing site. Because you would just like if the existing site is sidebar A and the template for me is sidebar 2, you know, it's so much easier for me to change it to sidebar A than to for a user to do that than to change it on every single article. Although
Yeah.
you can batch assign module positions in Joomla 6. So yeah, it's really, I guess it comes down to time and what works for you. So
And how complicated you want to make it, I suppose. Okay. Now, one of the things, I don't know whether I mentioned this before on our last chat, and it's interesting that I have it there here in the list. I've been doing, we're going to be getting to AI, but I've been using AI quite a lot, really, recently. Okay. And one of the things I used in AI was it was a web scraper system. So I wanted to check pricing on a person's website, and I used AI to help me build this web scraper system. And one of the things that I wanted to test with it was to have a sample data. But I designed it in a way that it installs sample data, but it could also remove the sample data. Okay. Now, the thing is with Joomla, I posed this question, I think, on the forum at one time as well. And I said, in Joomla, when you install Joomla, you have the option to install the sample data, but there's no option to uninstall it. And when somebody said to me, oh, well, you can't, it's very difficult, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, well, how can it be difficult? If you know what you're installing and you keep a record of it, then when you're going to uninstall it, you just go back to that record. And I kind of proved the point with the app that I designed, that you can install the data and then uninstall it. So is that me getting it wrong, or somebody not understanding that you can actually do it? Or am I missing something here regarding the sample data?
well, I mean, there's no core way to do it. I mean, and you could go through and list it all and delete it and delete everything that was created. But now I did, you know, so when you sent me the list of what you wanted to talk about, I remembered that you had mentioned that last time. And so I thought, oh yeah, he really wants this. So now I'm happy to tell you that you can now do it.
Hey, fantastic. How do you do it?
I asked you to set me up so I could screen share. So I'm just going to show you this.
Okay.
Let me just set, let's see. No, okay. I'm going to go to share screen. And I believe that it's this screen here that I want to share. All right. So this is a GitHub repository. I just did this yesterday.
Okay.
And it's for an extension called CS. So I always name my extension CS, remove sample data. And so I will show you. So here is a Joomla 6 site. I need to log in again. And you see this orange bar, it's a staging site. So I'm working on a copy because I hate to reinstall Joomla.
Yeah.
And if we go to sample data and go install, you get all the sample data installed for the site so that, you know, you've got it all there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you go to, after I've already installed that, if you go to components, no, I didn't install it. Okay. We're just going to download it right now. Might as well see how this is the curse of, not the curse, but this is what my live streams are like. I've got it on the other page here, so we'll just install it. System, install extensions, and do that. And now we can scan for anything that's the demo content. We can remove them. Check this box and confirm. It takes them out. Success. We go to the home page, and it's back to no content.
Fantastic. That's something that is, people don't realize how important that is, because when you start off with Joomla and you're learning and you say, well, okay, I want to use the sample data to see what I can do, what I can't do, and then when you say, right, that's enough, like I'm sure we've all done it. We've all went in and had to manually delete the sample data, and I just thought, why can't you just, if they can install it, surely they can uninstall it.
Now I did test it also. So what I did was I created an article in a menu item. Then I installed the backup. I installed the sample data because then it would all have different ID numbers because it's not first. And then I created another article in a menu item. Then I removed the sample data. Everything was removed, and the things that I added were still there. And I was able to reinstall the sample data again afterwards. It was so clean. So anyway, I thought, well, that's going to be fun. I'm going to do that for you. So now, after years, there is a way that you can do that. Now, that said, if someone, and I'll let you test it, but if you edit something in the sample data, I think that is also set so that it shows you, oh, this has been edited. You can click on the list and you can look and see whether you really want to remove it or not. But anyways, now you can.
Fantastic. Well done. That's brilliant, Tim. That's it. That was one of the things that was definitely on the list. And I mentioned that in the last interview 3 years ago. So you finally got there. It's brilliant. Well done on that one. So that's sorted now. So folks, if people want to get that program, what do they do? Where do they have to go for that?
Well, right now I just have it on GitHub. I've got a bunch. Man, I got a bunch of stuff coming out. So one thing that is out, when you go in and it into the dashboard in Joomla 5 or Joomla 6, and it says there's overrides to check.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you go and you look and compare, and you're like, oh, what do you do? So what I've done is, well, I can't deliver this to the client this way, and I'm tired of seeing red things, so I just check them all, mark them as checked, and then forget about it. So anyways, I've got an extension out that will that you can you give Claude AI the API key for your account, your user profile on there, and Claude looks at them all and makes recommendations. Then you tell it, and then Claude actually deals with them all. So that's just one thing, and I've got a bunch of stuff. So I'm hoping to have something on my cybersalt.com site where people can download extensions, free extensions. There's some that I'm going to have that are for free and have a pro version. But so right now you would get it from GitHub. It's my GitHub is CyberSalt. You see a bunch of stuff on there, and but otherwise, I'll try to have it on my site today at cybersalt.com, and you probably would want to look under the Joomla menu and then extensions. But it's called whatever. Yeah, remove sample data. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about, you mentioned the overrides. I actually have seen that come up on my site. They'll say, oh, you have 7 overrides. And I actually, I thought that it was referring to edits I had done with the SCSS file and changes I made. Is that relating to that?
No, so it's comparing the overrides against the core Joomla ones.
Okay.
So if you buy a module, if you buy a template and it's got a special, it's got their own special magic layout and styling, and they've organized the layout, the login module a little bit different. And then so what Joomla is comparing that one against the core. And the idea is that if you, or it also compares, like let's say you make a layout override of Cassiopeia. Well, let's suppose you make a layout override of the Cassiopeia login module, and then you do that on Monday, and then on Tuesday everyone says, "Oh my goodness, there's a huge vulnerability in the layout module. We need to update it." So they fix that. They push it out, and that's great. You update it, excellent. Well, now your layout override of the login module is different. and it's basically saying, hey, this is different than what is now core. You should check this because if we made a security update, you'll want to do the update. So you go and you look, and then it's like, oh my goodness, look at all this information. And and, it involves looking at the code and understanding it, which is not something that I can do. I'm not a coder, but AI is great at that. And so the AI looks and compares and says, this is missing something just before the name. That's a vulnerability if someone's logged in. All right, so that's either a change that happened from when you did your layout override, or your template creator did not have that little security feature inside where the site name is being put or whatever. And then in AI, you can say, oh, well, fix that, and it will just fix the layout. Others are like, oh, this is just cosmetic. Even if you have a different copyright year on the line, or even if you've gone in and bumped and added a space, it compares it, because it's looking, you want to find all the subtle differences to make sure don't have a hack or something, or there's some weakness. So so that's
and that was my concern with the overrides, that I go in and I make I go into Web Developer, I change the code because I might change the spacing or something, and the override is saying, you've just changed this, and I go in and I say, well, I've actually not gone into it. I've just thought, well, I'm not going to touch it because I don't want to spend time going in changing the code, and then I go in and accept it, and then it sets it back to the way it was before I actually had it change the code. So that's what I was thinking with the overrides. But if you're saying that you can just go in and accept them all, then that means they accept what you've changed, the system.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's just it's not judging you or telling you that you've done a good job or that there's nothing there or might there or that. But they, so I showed this to a Joomla user group. I think it was last week, and someone said it was Emmanuel, who's the vice president of OSM. He says, Tim, I've never had a problem with this. This seems like a lot of work. And I said, yeah, I've never had a problem with it either. But it's a thing, and it's there, and you can now compare. And it's, and then someone made the comment too, with people making layouts overrides and more things being done, it's worth more testing. Like that remove sample data extension. The last thing I did in Claude after I made it was I said, do a security review. And it was actually, I'm going out. So whatever you find, regardless of the seriousness, fix it. And it did. And it found a medium thing and some small things, and it fixed it. Now, this is interesting because this is code it had just made itself. But then, so then I made the final package and released it. So, you can just, what's the likelihood? It's very low risk just to select them all, but you never know. And I know the templates that I'm using, there's two that continually come up that are a medium risk that just need some code before where something is entered so that something doesn't get injected in that field. And that's, in those cases, it's only if they're logged into the back end of the site and have access to that. So it's pretty obscure, but they're just very much like if you've bought a used car, you want to look and see what recalls there are on that car, and if they were satisfied.
Yeah.
So, because it's like, oh, there's a recall on this car because it bursts into flames if you drive it over 50 miles an hour. It's like, well, did they fix that or not? So, you check the serial number and say, oh, and there'll be a record says, yeah, we fixed that back in 2022. You can drive your car over 50 miles. So it's basically saying, hey, you want to check against things that have become known issues.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll do that. I will have a look at the site, and I will have a look at the overrides just to see what it's showing me. Okay. Now number 5. I'm not too sure why I put this down. Maybe you will understand. It says update token Joomla 6. Where do you get that? I remember, I think I was playing around with Joomla 6 and I was doing an install and I was asking for a token somewhere, I'm not too sure. I'm vaguely remembering it and I was going, what token is it asking for? What does it mean? Now, has it got to do with API or something?
Yeah, I've not. And that was when you're updating Joomla?
I was doing something with Joomla and I come across this thing asking to update the token. And I'm sure I was kind of scratching my head saying, well, what token? Where do I get it from? And I'm pretty sure I did resolve it, but it was such a long time ago, I forget. But if it's not something that you come across, don't worry about it. It's just, I remember I had an issue with it initially.
Yeah, if you go, well, the one token that I know that I'm aware of in Joomla is the API token. And each Joomla, if it's turned on in your site, each user can generate an API token, and then you can use that in places. And as long as they don't, it doesn't even need to know what the username is. If you give that token to AI, it can then have access to everything you have access as your user. So the company interesting, the companies that I bought use RS Tickets Pro for their help desk. So I gave Claude the API for my Joomla user on that site. So I wanted it to go in and to be able to read the tickets, and then I can, I can research them, do them, and reply, and in Claude, and just do it all through the site. But Claude could not see the tickets because my profile, even though I was a super user, was not a staff member, and that was a restriction. So I went in, added myself as a staff member, and then Claude accessing the site with my API was like, this is who I is using it as me, can then could then look at tickets and send them and reply and do things like that. So the API would be and now if you had an API key and were using it, and then it expired, or had you had changed it, I guess you could maybe need to reissue it, and there's a way to do that. That's the only API that I'm aware of in Joomla that I think it would fit in with that, unless there's an extension. I've never seen this that has an API for accessing it. Although I think that's going to come more and more often, maybe. I don't know. I've been developing things, more and more things, so that Claude can do more things on the Joomla site. And but I think that's probably that might be what you were dealing with.
Yeah, could be that. All right, it could be that. Number six is Cassiopeia extended template, the extras, and then custom CSS child templates. Again, I think I had this down on the list just to get an understanding of the whole idea of using child templates. Now, I assume that the whole idea is that what you can do is, again, you can have multiple templates, and when somebody clicks on a module, you can have that going to a different template, and you can change Cassiopeia, change it around to what you want, colors or what have you. I assume that's what that is relating to, child templates. And
Yeah, I'm not super pro with Cassiopeia and the child templates, but I think what happens with the child templates is that if and I think you could almost, there might be a parallel with Gantry, although how Gantry does things. Although again, I'm not an expert on in this area, but if you make a child template, it's the same as the parent. If you change one thing in the child template, let's say the color of, I mean, I don't know what, you change one thing, then that one thing you changed will be how it is everywhere that child template is assigned. But if you change anything in the parent, that change will cascade down into the child templates everywhere as well. So it would almost, yeah. So yeah, I think I'm explaining that right. So let's suppose that for the whole site, you want it to change the paragraph font from 1 REM to 1.2. You do that in the parent. But let's suppose that on the child template, you want that font to be a different color. You would just change it on the child. Anywhere that the child is assigned on the site, that's the color. But let's suppose you decide, oh, 1.2 REM is too much for the whole site. I want to change it to 1.1. You'd make that change for the whole site in the parent, not in the child.
Yeah. But if you changed it in the child and then you went back and changed it in the parent, that will filter down. And then you have to go back to the child to change it.
Yes. Well, in that case, like if you change the font size, but whatever you don't change in the child always gets it from the parent.
Yeah.
If you decided that you wanted the whole site to have font in a certain color, then you would change it in the parent, but you would still have to go and change it in the child and take that away, that customization.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. That does make sense.
If I'm misleading anyone who's watching this, then email me and I will give you your money back.
No worries. I'm sure you're spot on. Now, number 7, and this is kind of a big topic because, you know, I have creating a module with AI. Now, at the time in 2023, right, when we had our last interview, I was kind of AI curious. And I said, I wonder, because I'm not, like you, I'm not a programmer, right? But there's things I wanted to develop, but I'm not a programmer. So I was kind of saying, right, okay, what if I'm going to try using ChatGPT at the time? This is 3 years ago. I mean, AIs did come on even in 3 years. What if I use ChatGPT to design a module for Joomla, just a hello world module, just to see if it could do it? And basically, I did a video on it on my channel. And yes, it did the module. I was, there's a bit of tweaking. I did the video on how to do it and what I did. And it actually did hello world. Now, 3 years on, AI is so much more intelligent and there's so much that can be done. And like you, I use Claude to do stuff. Now, on my phone, for example, I develop for the Android phones, not the iOS, because you have to pay Apple $100 a year. And even if you submit your app, they might reject it, where on Android, you can design your APK and put it straight in your phone, and there's no problem with that using Android Studio. So one of the programs I've wanted to do for years is have an encrypted text messaging system. So you could actually, this is military style AES 256 encryption. So when you send a text message encrypted, all they will see it on the other end, or your cell provider will see it's just all gibberish. And then the other person who has the same app on their phone, when you have a secret password between the two of them, they can open it up and then they can read the message. Right? It's very simple, very straightforward. So I've been really getting into AI recently and playing around and just talking to Claude and throwing a lot of ideas at Claude. And another idea I had was regarding a dating app where your mobile phone would act like a radar. And if you had things in common with the person, it would go off on the phone and the Bluetooth would go off and go, you've got a match. And that would be a great kind of, oh, we must have things similar to each other. Let's sit down and have a talk, right? But I didn't kind of take that further because a few people I spoke to about it were kind of, no, it's not going to work, So I thought, well, look, I'll put it on the shelf for now. It might work. But with Claude, I find I've been testing the 3 AIs, ChatGPT, I've been obviously using Claude and Copilot, right? So these are just my thoughts on it, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it. ChatGPT, I'm not subscribed to, but it's very good when it comes to graphics and image and thumbnails and all that kind of stuff, as well as doing the coding. I did the coding with ChatGPT, right? But obviously there's a time limit with ChatGPT depending on what you're doing, and it bombs out and says you can't use it for another day. Claude, I've actually subscribed to. on the basic subscription because I find Claude is rubbish when it comes to dealing with images. But when it comes to coding, it's pretty good. I liked Claude's approach to coding. It's pretty good at that. Copilot is rubbish at hoax. Copilot, I mean, I'm very disappointed at Microsoft. I just find Copilot is rubbish, right?
Well, that's probably the first time that Microsoft's ever disappointed you. So,
Well, over the years being an ex-IT guy, Microsoft has disappointed me a number of times, but I just found that Copilot just didn't, step up to the mark when I wanted things done. I mean, it's okay, but would I use it for coding? No, not really. I'd rather trust Claude or ChatGPT. But so one of the ideas, again, the whole idea of using AI, as you know, is that we are not coders, but we know what we want. And we can tell the AI to actually go and do what we want. And once we give it the brief and break it down and test it and everything else, then happy days. Generally, I feel I'm quite happy with the AI and Claude. And I've thrown a lot of things at Claude. Hey, what if we make this? Can we do this? Can we do that? And it comes back and gives me all the information. So what's your take on an experience with AIs in general? And obviously, I know you're saying you use Claude there to do your work, but what's your overall experience with AI?
yeah, I do have a monthly subscription to ChatGPT, but just the basic one. Just because I just wanted, I thought about unsubscribing. I thought, well, if I ever need it, I'll just, the pro version if I want to try something or experiment. Because I have some of the stuff I've been building for Claude to use Joomla. I've put the same stuff in ChatGPT, and it says, "Oh, I can't access that," and it makes it very complicated. Now Claude will say, "Oh, I don't have access to that domain," but I just go in and add the domain. It's very simple. So it really is great for coding. Copilot, Gemini. I know that they've put out a lot of coding stuff, but once I'm paying $280 a month Canadian, as we say in Canada, for Claude for the amount of stuff that I'm doing. I'm just doing crazy, ridiculous stuff. Not only just the coding, but I have it helping me process my emails and organizing client information and scheduling and I'm doing a lot of coding and things like that. So I as for all of the evils and all of the troubles of AI that are out there, there's the side where it's great. I'm really enjoying it. I started doing some Joomla when I started doing some Joomla stuff with Claude. It's maybe about, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. Claude kept making mistakes, or there's something wasn't working, or it would zip up and make a package, but it used using a certain zip file. It would a zip program. It was getting forward slashes as backslashes or whatever. So I was spending hours trying to get a package that would install without an error on Joomla. And then once it finally figured it out, then what I said was, and I created this repo on GitHub called Joomla Brain, and it's public. I would say, update the Joomla Brain with what we've learned. And so it would say, oh, always use 7-zip in PowerShell for creating this. And so every time we run into a roadblock, I tell Claude, update the Joomla Brain with what we've learned. And now it's to the point where when I have like that extension I just showed you, I just talked to Claude and said what I wanted it to do. I gave it access to API access to that staging site. And then I said, follow the Joomla Brain. I also have another thing which is called my wish list for every Joomla extension. That's actually the topic. I'm going to speak at Joomla World Conference in October, and that's my topic. And I say and pay attention. Remember my wish list for everything for Joomla, and then I start it, and I either work on something else or go have lunch or whatnot. Come back, and then I've got something to test. I also tell it because it's very good at saying, "Hey, do you want?" Well, the other thing to do with AI is really good is if there's anything I'm missing or you have any questions, let me know, or any suggestions. And then it does. So you just answer them, you get all that, say, okay, ready to go. Yeah. And I'll just say, just make it. I'm not going to be at my computer. Just make it. I'll come back and test. And then the first try is pretty good. I got stuck on some things with that remove sample data. There was some crazy token thing happening that I don't know what it was, but anyways, we got it sorted out. And yeah, so definitely it's really, really good.
Brilliant. And the one thing, like you, I sit down with AI and I throw things at it and I go, can we do this? Can we do that? Well, Bluetooth, NFC, ESP32s, Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, because I'm curious on certain things of how we can do, especially regarding security and things like that. And one of the things now I'm thinking of, I mentioned before, I think back to you about developing an app. The one app I didn't find on Joomla on the extensions list was a time banking system, which is modern day bartering. Now, since then, a chap I know over here in Ireland has set up an Irish website dealing with time banking. And I know he uses Gemini and Claude, I think, to develop the website. However, there's still not a time banking extension on Joomla.
Now,
So
by time banking, you mean just keeping track of what you're working on?
no, time banking is really the modern day side, the modern way of bartering. So basically,
Oh, okay.
if we had the grid down situation, right, or we had a community, and this is quite big in America, and it's big in Australia, and it's in the UK. Some other countries are taking it on board as well. And basically, what it is you're trading your energy. You're not buying anything. So you might say, Alan, I'll come around and I'll cut your grass, and then I'll come around to you and I'll go and do your shopping, right? And we tokenize that, and one credit is an hour, right? So it's our energy that's the value. There's no money involved, and you're not kind of selling products either. It's purely about energy. And time banking is massive in the US. It started in Australia, I think, and then as I say, it's UK it's big. We're trying to get promotion over here in Ireland because a lot of people at the moment have a lot of time, but they don't have a lot of money because of the way the world is at the moment. If they all join time banking, if they did all time banking, they could swap their time and still get things done. It could be a tradesman who might come along and say, look, I'll fix your car. You buy the parts and I'll fix your car. And then you come around to me and you paint my bedroom or something, right? That's what time banking's about. And the whole idea is that having a plugin or having a component for Joomla means that you can be autonomous, right? So people can download Joomla for free. You could stick it on a PC with WAMP, and you could then put the actual the component on that, and you could run it from a laptop or from a PC. It doesn't even have to be on the internet. So this is why, rather than a website, because if you had a grid down situation or you've no internet, then you can't get to the website and you can't use it. Where if it's a component that's autonomous that you can download Joomla, download that and install it on a laptop, then happy days, people can work away with that. And plus, even if it was on the internet on a site and you were taking a backup, which is going offline, if the system did go down and you had no internet, you just restore the actual, restore it to WAMP, and then you're up and running again, So that's the general idea of time banking. So there's a few apps that I've thrown at AI and I've said, can you do this? Can you do that? I haven't really looked at the time banking for June at the moment, but it might be on my list. But I just think Claude, so far for me, I've been impressed with the coding.
Yeah, no, and if you, it's great because it will. I mean, some of the stuff that I've made, it's put in features, and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. I never even thought of that, and I've been quite surprised that it's like, oh, I like that. So, Yeah, you can do that. My son has a irrigation and landscaping company, and he wanted something for his for keeping notes on the job site, and so he was playing around with Claude and telling me, and I said, "Oh, well, here, let me show you." Um, and I got him set up in in GitHub and Visual Studio, and yeah, and then I said to him, and he has a Joomla site for his company that we built, that we've built for him. And I said, well, this really should be an extension. And then he said, Dad, he says, I'd also like to have I'd like to have something where I can keep track of inventory. So and I said, oh yeah. And then I realized, well, and I haven't gotten back to him uh, since he just mentioned that in passing. But I thought, man, if there's a supplier out there that has a spreadsheet or something that you can import or access, and then you can just keep track of the inventory. I mean, I really do think it's just limited by your ideas, and so the concern that AI is going to that AI is replacing jobs, yes, is going to do that. It's going to create new things. But also amongst junior developers, fewer are getting hired, which later on is going to be a problem because there's going to be stuff that you need experienced senior coders to be aware of and how to run. And if they're not mentoring and bringing up people from below, then there's going to be a technological debt for that. But with the um, yeah, but it's no longer it's like 10% of the code and 90% being able to make the product. And I say, I say that because and I understand there's a lot of things I don't know. And I've, some of the really, really brilliant coders in Joomla, there's a wide range of reaction to AI. Some of them are embracing it. Some of them are incorporating it. Some of them are railing against it. And I get it. I mean, if you are really good at something and at a skill and like, well, I mean, it's just like when the automobile came in. If you're really good at taking care of horses, well, what's your future if people aren't doing horses for getting around anymore? So there'll be people that say, "Hey, things are changing, so I'm going to sell my horse business and start working in this car business." Where others would be, "Oh, cars will never be a thing. Horses will always be needed," and it's an emotional thing too. So anyways, yeah, so I think whatever your ideas are, you can you can build them, and then it just flies. It's going to fly whether if you've got the features that people want or if it's an idea that people want to use.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots of. I mean, I look at some extensions now that I use, and I think maybe I should just make my own. But it's like, no, it's really good. It's great. I want to support the developer, and I'll spend my time on other things.
Mm.
But it's a crazy, crazy time. So
I think,
I made an extension 3 months ago for copying WordPress content over to Joomla. And now I have a client that has a WordPress site that I'm going to rebuild for him. Someone local, a guy at my church, and I realized, oh, I'm going to use that extension that I built, and I said, well, why? Wait a second. I literally only have to give access to the WordPress site and the Joomla site, a Joomla install, and say move all this content over and recreate this site in Joomla, and then leave. Now I'll have to babysit because ask questions and that, but it's like I've already replaced that thing that I made. AI's already replaced the thing that I made with AI because my thinking is different about how to do it now. I will still do that extension because there are people that want to just, oh, I need to copy this over and they'll do it. They're not going to be as heavily using AI as some people are, as I am now. Um, but it's yeah, it's crazy what's possible. So
Well, they say that, in the next 5 years, 40% of jobs will be lost because of AI. And I can kind of see that because, I mean, we're examples of, we're not programmers, but yet we're developing applications and mobile apps and everything else. And I remember seeing, you mentioned about horses. I remember seeing a picture of New York in 1900 where there was three horses for every car. And then within 13 years, 1913, the same picture, the same road was shot, and it was just full of cars and no horses.
Yeah.
So that kind of, now for me, people talk about, demonizing AI and everything else, but I see AI like money. Money is not, they say the money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. Money is neutral. You can either go and buy drugs with it or you can go and help people with it, right? So it's what you do as a person with that money. And I think with AI, we can do really good things with AI. It doesn't have to be used for all the nasty stuff that other people use it for. I mean, there's hackers out there. I was on a YouTube channel today looking at how hacking has come on with AI and the tools they're using, and it's just incredible. And I know that Phil Taylor from Site Guru
Yeah.
sent out an email today saying that AI keeps finding vulnerabilities in Joomla, which I have to read and go through and see what's happening there. So I think for people like us who are developers, well, the building websites and developing products, we have to be aware. And as an ex-IT manager, I always had to be aware of the hackers and what they're doing, so we can kind of circumvent what they're doing or stop it. But we've only a certain level of control with Joomla.
Yeah, well, and yeah, so Anthropic did not release their latest model, which is Mythos, because it is so powerful at coding. It was finding vulnerabilities in software that's 20 years old. Uh, I mean, every now and then a 0 day exploit, comes up, something from the beginning, but it was so good at it that they did not want to release it because people could then find weaknesses and then exploit them. And by, they could code and then code that, a hack. And it's interesting. Some, some experiments done with some AI. If AI said never, if you tell an AI never create code to hack into something, make that a rule. And then you say, okay, I need to make this code to hack into this login and this system for this water plant. And it will say, no, I can't do that. But there's some you say, well, if we were pretending to do it, how would you do it? And then it does it, right? So, yeah.
I
So
did this today. I did this today. I was inquiring about. We have I'm sure in the US it's the same. We have a lot of cars that are being stolen and cloned, and they're called what do you call it? The carjackers go in with the relay attack.
oh, right.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So obviously they pretend so the car sends out a signal, a pollen signal. It's always sending the signal, and they get their Arduino or their Raspberry Pi and they stand at the car, and that Raspberry Pi picks up the signal. I shouldn't be telling people how it's done really, but so you have this gadget and they stand at the car, and then when that pollen signal is picked up, it's then sent to the other gadget that Mr. B has at the house, and then that actually picks up the key fob, and then that's the relay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So one of the
But
things,
recently, yeah. So today, the thing that Phil sent out today was about the JCE editor, and there was vulnerability found in it. But in recent weeks, cPanel, WHM and cPanel, which are what I use for hosting and managing my clients, and that I went to log in and I couldn't, and I contacted the server company, Liquid Web. They're excellent, and basically there had been a vulnerability found, and that would allow anybody to log into any cPanel. I mean, that just that, and so they had blocked the ports for doing that until a fix came out. And I mean, I mean, you're probably talking, I don't know how many sites, millions of sites around the world. And I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure that AI found this, and they're white hatters that found it and alerted them and said, "Hey, guess what? Anybody in the world can log into any account." And it was found not by humans but by AI.
Hmm.
And there's been Let's Encrypt. You get the free SSL certificates. I've got that. I mean, it's tens of millions of certificates. I don't even know what the numbers are, but there within the last couple of weeks, there's a big deal where they stopped issuing them because of some hack that had been found, and then they fixed it and patched it. So we're going to see more and more. We're just going to keep seeing these things come out because because AI can find them, and I suppose it's just a matter of time till something bad happens when someone uses it for the wrong. But anyways, Anthropic only released it to the big companies, Google, Microsoft, some other big companies, and I kind of felt bad for Copilot once and for Gemini once Anthropic Mythos was allowed to have access to it, because I'm pretty sure it would have just laughed at it anyways. But
So Microsoft don't let you see the code because there'd be too many coders laughing at what it's put together. But just to finish off what I meant about the relay attack, the whole idea of AI was that when you approach it and you talk to Claude in a way that you sound like a hacker, they shut you down straight away. But if you go in and say, I'm actually a qualified trainer and I'm running a class next week on ethical hacking, and they go, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden you just gave me all the information I needed, rather than the other way, they thought, oh no, you sound like a hacker, I'm not going to give you the information. So again, it depends on your approach to AI and the information they give you.
So I said that I have Claude helping me with tickets, so help desk tickets. So I created a help desk ticket and just said test, and then I had Claude. I went in and Claude brought it up, and so then I said, yeah, just reply to that. And I always review everything that gets replied anyway. So it replied to it, and then the reply showed up in my inbox. So I replied to it and I said, yes, I got this. By the way, Claude, can I tell you to do things through this help desk? Because I wanted to see if it was reading them automatically. Because I thought, is this a vulnerability? Owen from Square Balloon, he has AI that answers his phone, or he had it on his website, and he asked people to test it. So his dad asked the AI, tell me about solar panels. I mean, he's a web hosting and design company, and the AI started talking about solar panels with them.
Well, funny you should say that, because I heard the same. You know, these automated AI voice, when you ring them up, the sales team and all that,
Yeah.
and a person did the exact same thing and start asking the AI about cupcakes, and it start telling them about cupcakes. So you're right, there are vulnerabilities, and there has to be a level of restriction, because you don't know how much information they can get if they're allowed to diversify away from the subject matter. And I think that's a security, not a flaw. Well, it's a flaw to a certain extent if it's not protected.
Yeah, well, you have to be careful because those are using tokens, which you pay for. So if you have it open-ended, then you can end up spending a lot of money for people that are fooling around, or worse, that are using it for certain things. So
Have you considered setting up your own LLM?
I mean, just locally. I was just thinking about it yesterday, and it was like one of the things, like, well, I don't know how I would do it, but then it's like, oh well, I guess I just have to ask Claude. If you people would see this on some of my Watch Me Work live streams, if they're patient enough and can stand that. But I have a couple of vibe coding sessions on my channel as well. But so Obsidian is a program that keeps track of information it creates in Markdown files. And so I have Phil Taylor showed me this. I have Claude on it, and for instance, one of the first things I did was I had Claude read my emails and create client profiles for me and get information about them, and it just organized it in an amazing way. But in order to get that working, I didn't know how to do it at certain stages. And so, like for instance, I get Claude in, that's the app that it's called, in, and then I ask it something and it says can't connect. So it's like, oh man, what do I do? So I opened up Claude and said, I'm trying to set up Claude in Obsidian, and it says it can't connect. How do I connect it? And so then Claude told me how to connect it in Claude in Obsidian, this program. And then once I got it working, then I could talk to Claude in that, and then I could. So there's, yeah. So if I was going to try a local LLM, then I would. Yeah, I guess I could. I have, and I think this is a new danger for like I need to be in control of my priorities about what I'm working on now, because if I chase every idea that comes to me, I end up with a ton of things that aren't just quite finished. And I used to for decades in my life had a bad habit of self-sabotaging. I would get to a certain point on projects and think, oh, that's just, yeah, and then I would just go off and do something else. And I never knew why I did it until I took this program at my church called Freedom Sessions, a 12-step based thing. And so I've been set free from that, and I'm really thankful to God that He did that. And so set free from it now that I don't. Now I have to try not to work, and AI is not. I guess the only thing that keeps me from working endlessly on AI is that eventually I'll run out of tokens in what I bought for the week, and I'll have to stop. But yeah, so there's definitely the need to prioritize is it gets really tested with all this stuff that we can do.
Definitely, and it gets addictive, because I have been, you wake up in the middle of the night and you're thinking, well, while I'm awake, what else could I do with AI? And the thought comes in. I'm starting to think of other ideas that I can actually ask it, and find out if it can be done. I like kind of pushing the boundaries. I like looking at the tech that we have and seeing, can we do this, and can you do this, and can you do this, and just asking it to see from a coding point of view. Number 8 is I always keep my module plugins, etc., to a minimum. So basically, this is just going back to the KISS principle. I know, from an IT point of view, I know in my early days in IT, I was one that used to have all kinds of technology going on. But I realized very quickly that the more tech I was using, the more time was taken up spinning the plates and keeping it running and fixing the problems. So by taking all the tech out that wasn't really needed and just keep it simple, my life was so much easier. There was less stress and everything was more manageable. And I kind of apply the same rule. Maybe it's got to do with age, but I kind of apply the same rule with Joomla, that I try and limit the amount of plugins and modules and components on my site, and I have to justify it to put it on there, because every plugin and module or component you put on could potentially be a problem with the site somewhere down the line. So that's just kind of my take on it.
Yeah, just have on what you need to use, and but yeah, we one of the in one of the live streams, the someone wished that the Joomla article module had a way that you could tell it to skip a number of articles. So for instance, if you have a category blog page, you have 3 articles showing from the category, and then you use the article module in the side column to show more articles. Well, it's just going to show the same 3 that are already on the page at the start. So they wanted to skip that. So we did a plugin. You did a plugin just right there, and it just adds that option to the core module. It didn't change the module; it just shows up somewhere. So that was an extra plugin to do one little feature but it was a feature that that person was that in his name that Bjorn thought would be great, and I've used it in other modules. I thought, yeah, that would be good. Let's see if we can do it. So yeah, if it's got a purpose, sure. If you're not using it, then yeah, then uninstall it. But and as things progress, eventually, if they're not supported, then you'll find out that something that you're not using doesn't need to be there anymore, or you have to remove it in order to update anyway. So
Yeah, and there's normally a top 10 that people use and gets updated. You know, the classics like JCE editor, the Acrobat backup, you know, and, just the general stuff that people normally use and install.
yeah.
They're always good ones to go for at the start. Number 9, convert forms, time banking. I think we've talked about the time banking thing. Basically, at the time when I put this on the list, it was really, I did email Tassos and I asked him about could we use convert forms from like a time banking system, but he said no, it's not really designed for that. But that was before I kind of got into the AI side.
Mhm.
So now I know that obviously I wouldn't be going down that road. That road, I would actually just be using AI to develop it and then going from there. So that's
Yeah,
kind of,
make a component.
yeah, you make a component for it and then run it from there. Um, Joomla versus WordPress, Joomla core dependencies. Now, this is a battle that's been ongoing for a long time regarding Joomla and WordPress. And out of the box, obviously, Joomla has a lot more stability and a lot more add-ons rather than WordPress, where you have to bolt everything in. And I'm going to mix two of these together because there's another question related to it as well. Although personally, I mean, I played around with WordPress and I didn't really get to grips with it. I wasn't really happy with it. And obviously, Joomla to me is something that I feel comfortable with. And I always say Joomla is the big brother to WordPress. And I know people I've suggested Joomla to who have used WordPress and they go, oh no, that's too complicated. I'm going back to WordPress. I don't know why that is, because Joomla is, just you have to do less to get Joomla working. But even my own internet service provider, when you get a hosting account, automatically they have an option on the menu saying create your WordPress site, but they don't have one for Joomla. And I'm going, well, hang on a minute, that's a bit unfair, you know. I mean, not everybody uses WordPress. So what's your experience with that and your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, I think that WordPress has a commercial side to it. So there have been people making a lot of money off of WordPress, and of course, the nonprofit, the open source side to that, they've all been having a famous fight about a year ago or something like that. It got really crazy. But yeah, so if you've got people that are making money on it and putting money into it, then then it's you're probably going to see a lot more growing. Joomla is fiercely open source, and there are people that don't even want money donated to Joomla to pay someone to do something. They're just so opposed to anybody being paid for anything in Joomla, and so that's going to really affect just what makes things grow. Why but so I think the other thing too, some of the things that have been discussed, that when, like I showed you, when you install Joomla now, it's a blank page. You have to install so if someone installs that in a quick installer and gets in and it's a blank page, it's like, what do I do with this? Then you go the back end. If is There's so many rich options in Joomla, and with everything visible right from the get-go, then you have it's like it can be overwhelming. It's not really adding an image in the core Joomla method is not user friendly, in my opinion. Now, you can do it, but like JCE editor, you insert an image, you want to go back and change the settings and click on the image. You have all your settings there, even in the free version. So I think that is a barrier for people who are new to it. But that said, there's been lots of work to try to help that. There's the tours component in Joomla now. So when you go in, it will give you a tour through what's new. There's tours on how to create an article. So there's quite a bit of stuff for that. So yeah, there's lots of people that are working on it, and it's great and it's good. But yeah, WordPress is a big ecosystem, and if you want to try to make a lot of money, they've just done really well, and hosting companies are supplying what, those WordPress tools are supplying what the huge vast number of people that are doing WordPress want, so that they can advertise, oh yeah, one-click WordPress installer. Oh, WordPress, that's what my hairdresser told me that she uses for her website, and I'm making these vegan dog cookies now. I'd like to sell them online, so I'll check out WordPress. I just click, and they do make it very easy, easy-ish, I suppose. But then and those people aren't thinking, oh, they're not thinking how many do you have custom fields included in this? Because I want to use custom fields for such and such. They're not thinking that. They want to set up a shopping cart. They want to be able to sell. So yeah, so there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good work in Joomla, but obviously, there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good work in Lamborghini, which, by the way, is owned by Chrysler Corporation. So, but yeah, so I think it's just a lot of brand awareness. I think we mentioned this the last time we talked. Like if you over here, if you want to blow your nose, you get a Kleenex, but it might not be Kleenex. It might be Scotty's.
Yeah.
It might be a different brand, but you say, "Oh, you pass me a Kleenex."
Yeah.
So for many people, WordPress is just synonymous. And I tell people, and they ask, "Well, what do you do for business?" Or what's your business do? And I said, "Well, have you heard of WordPress?" "Oh yeah." I said, "Well, I work in Joomla. It's a similar idea for managing your content, but that's what I work in, and it's I like it, and so."
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, I think there's going to be an ongoing argument. The one thing that I found with WordPress, and I know you talk about templates, there is an awful lot of free templates available for WordPress. But when you go and look for templates in Joomla for free templates, there's very few in comparison. And I think that kind of lets things down as well. Now, I know people, you can't work for nothing. People who work for nothing will always have work. But there's ways and means that surely we can make a few Cassiopeia templates for free, and then you can charge for other templates. I just feel when I was building Joomla over the years in different websites, I've always struggled in finding a template that would be free that I could use. Now, at the moment, I am I'm not now, but I was a subscriber of Inspire Theme, and Inspire Theme support Gantry 5, and they have templates there. And I used their templates while I was subscribing and downloaded them, and they work, and that's fine. But again, maybe we just need a few free Cassiopeia templates for Joomla, and just maybe 10 of a different variety, just to kind of give people the choice that they can do it, to give them a chance, rather than, as I say, WordPress, hands down, there's so much free templates out there, it's unreal. So I think that didn't help for me anyway. I didn't feel it didn't help Joomla's cause in trying to grab some of the market,
Yeah, and the challenge in open source is, and this is the philosophy in Joomla anyway, and I agree with it. I understand it and agree with it to a great deal, is that the more you have in the core, the more that has to be maintained. So let's say let's say that there was in Joomla 3 there was 10 templates, free templates supported by the Joomla project. Protostar is the one, and then someone that Bees was very popular for a while, but then there was 10. and now you've got to make all 10 work in the big migration from 3 to 4. So there's that would have been a huge challenge. And then 3 to 4 was a migration. So let's suppose that when 4 came out that there was 10 templates. You have to make sure somebody's got to maintain that and make them work going from 4 to 5. So these two companies that I just bought, so now I own over 100 Joomla templates.
Okay.
There's 60 for Virtumart. I'm going to I have the idea to make a version of all of them so they work with J2 Commerce. And then I thought, well, why not do it with Photoshop? Now AI will do the heavy lifting for me, but as soon as people start using those and say, oh, I'm having this problem, I've got to support it. And especially with what's coming in the EU, we were talking about this on the live stream yesterday. Someone shared Ruud Van Lemp from onlinecommunityhub.nl, I think is the website, OCH. He was talking about the new Cyber Resilience Act in the EU, which is that if you put out something, you have to have a plan to support it for security updates for 5 years, right? So let's suppose, so now I've got, I only have one template that's Joomla 5 native, because part of the reason why the company is being sold, because it was so much to keep them up. And some of them are already in Joomla 5, but now I've got, I've got 60 to update and keep going. And so I'm doing it, but man, even to have 10, it would take a lot of work. So, and then they'd all have to agree on the designs. And so Joomla's approach has been have a stable core that people can extend. Even though the thing about AI right now is they thought, well, you don't want to build AI into Joomla, but AI is a big thing. Should there be a core method, something added to the core, so you can at least add your AI keys to it, and then other extensions can then get the API key from the same location in Joomla, so it's standardized. So if I make an extension but you need to access through AI, my extension looks to see if it's in the core location instead of me creating this method or this other method. And but then it's like, well, who's going to maintain that? There's a lot of things changing. Who will keep that up to date? And the other thing too is that next thing you know, something Claude changes something. Now it needs to be updated in the Joomla core. In the meantime, now my extension that I built to work in Joomla core this way no longer talks until they update it. And but I got clients saying, hey, I can't use AI anymore. Oh yeah, there's a little thing that came out with the Joomla 6.1 release, and they're going to come out with a patch soon. So it's like, oh, so yeah, it's yeah. So that's, even just having those templates would be it would be a lot of work for someone to change.
But I'm just thinking, speaking out loud regarding the templates, I mean, we have AI at the moment, okay? And it's only going to get better and get smarter. So I'm thinking, right, you have all these templates, and I mentioned 10, for example, but why couldn't we build in the template, some kind of template checker against some standard? So if somebody comes along and says, right, Tim, we're going to buy a template off you, and you have a list on a server of the MVC designs for templates or Joomla or whatever the latest standards are as a CSV file, right? And what people can do is they can go into the template and click the button. It'll be like a compatibility button or a structure button, whatever you want to call it. And what they do is they click that button in the template and it goes off to your server and it hits that CSV file and it checks to make sure that it matches everything that it should be there. And then if it doesn't match, then obviously there must be an update available. So again, AI can automate a lot of things. I think now we have the ability to do it. And, as I say, I'm kind of an ideas guy. I'm a solutions guy. Give me a problem and I'll sit down and I'll work out a solution for it. Whether it works, it might not, but it might trigger something else. But this is the way I see from a template point of view. I think that would be good to have the template have a self-check option so you don't have to worry about it, but the user can. What you say to the user is, here's your template, you've just bought that, and when you install it, there's an option there that says it's a self-checker and it checks off the server to make sure that your template's okay and it's up to date. There you go.
Yeah, that it could. I mean, if there was a standard that's put somewhere, then that would be good. Now, someone could develop an extension that finds that information and then goes out and views websites and checks. There's accessibility tools that will examine a site. The templates that the templates in the companies that I bought, they are not accessibility friendly in some ways. I mean, I can tell because I can't even read the link sometimes. But so it's just changing the color, and I'm just doing that work and getting it all set. When I look at the controls in the back end, then I saw where you can select the colors. I thought, well, why not? You're setting a white background, and then you set the color for heading 1. Why not automatically do a contrast check and have it built into the template so it tells you all that what you've picked is not accessible, and but again, you think, well, it should do that. Well, it used to be, developers were so busy doing things, they didn't have time to take weeks to figure out how to develop that. Where now, in Claude, you say, let's add this feature, and it says, oh, that would be like a 2-week project, and you go, okay, do it. And 5 minutes later, it's done, right? Because it's thinking human time.
Exactly.
Like, in Obsidian, when the work that I'm doing, I shared this with the Chamber of Commerce meeting. On Monday, I worked 7 hours, 50 minutes, and the equivalent human time of what I did was 82 to 110 hours because I had just had Claude doing things. Now, I mean, that one of that 20 minutes to get it to train it to read a mailbox with tens of thousands of emails in it to get rid of spam, and still working on that. But yeah, so there's so much that you could do, and it's just like, for instance, like the remove sample data. It's always there. It's like what is the routine that installs this? Reverse it.
Yeah.
Look for it, but look what still exists compared to what is installed. Do you want to do this? I mean, but what if before AI, to do that for weeks, especially during that time, you're going to probably be eating 3 times a day and heating your house. It costs, right? So
of course, yeah.
So and so that
the speed of AI in the development, I am very impressed at how fast it can turn it around. I mean, for me to develop the app that I did, I mean, yeah, there's been a couple of versions and tweaks and everything else to it, but for me to do that, I mean, number one, I couldn't because I'm not a programmer. Number two, for me to do that would have took weeks and weeks and weeks. But once I knew exactly what I wanted it to do, then it went off and did that, and I made the tweaks, and it does what it says on the tin. Okay, that's it's interesting going down that road regarding AI. But as I say, I think there's a lot of opportunities for Joomla and WordPress with templates and making changes, so it makes it easier for the end user. The last thing on the list, you'd be glad to hear, the last thing on the list is, and I think we talked about this last time, was that I think I mentioned there was no Irish Joomla groups. Well, apparently I found one on Facebook, but there's only 91 users in it, and the last comment was mine, which was 2022. And the last comment before that was 2020. So I've left a message on the chat and I kind of said, is anybody taking care of this website at all, or this Facebook page? Because obviously, we need people active on the Irish Joomla group. So it is up there on Facebook, but there's not many people on there. So I'm hoping to get an answer back, but I won't hold my breath.
Well, you can start one.
Yeah, see, I know I could start another one, and somebody said that to me, and they said, "Well, why don't you start one?" I don't feel I'm knowledgeable enough to, because I think people have this impression that if you set up a group that you're an expert at something, and I go, "No, I'm not an expert in Joomla at all," you know. That's more for somebody else who's more of an expert than me, but I'm happy to jump in and join in. I'd like to know what's going on with that group first, so I'm going to try and find out and see if anybody's, if they've given up on it and they're not using it, then I don't mind saying, look, I'll take over the admin and see what we can do from there, because I think the Joomla development is very important. But look, we've reached that time and we've been chatting for quite a bit with a lot of information about Joomla and AI and technology. And, it's actually like talking to AI really, because we're bouncing off idea and getting ideas for each other, which is really.
I hope I wasn't hallucinating at some point along the way there. So.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. How's your arm, by the way?
Oh, my arm is my arm's coming along well. Yeah, it's 8 weeks since I broke it, but I'm getting good range in. I don't know if you can hear the click that just happened there, but it's coming along. I'm really thankful to God that I've got the full range for opening. It was just the up in my elbow where it broke, so I can straighten my arm fully and yeah, and I've been able, other than a couple of very slow days and taking it easy at the beginning, I was able to rest my arm on the desk and mouse. And then with my left hand, I used Windows H and turned on the microphone. And I told AI what I wanted to do, dictated my emails, did a little bit of left-handed typing. But now it's doing well.
It's doing good. Well, Tim, it's been a pleasure as usual having a chat with you. It's great catching up and speaking Joomla to yourself, who's doing this full time and doing what you're doing. So before I let you go, give out your details again. Let people know what you do, because if people are watching this and they are stuck with Joomla and they need help and support, or they need tutorials to find out about Joomla, Tim's the man. But give out all your details there, Tim.
Yeah, so Tim at cybersalt.com. That's CYBERSALT.com. And the YouTube channel is Basic Joomla is the name of it. I mean, the title of it is Basic Joomla Tutorials. But if you look for Basic Joomla, youtube.com/Basic Joomla, I think that will get you there. And the two sites I just bought, one is energizethemes.com, and the other one is virtuemarttemplates.net. So if you want to check those out, there's that's a work in progress, updating it, but it's fun to do that. And go by the GitHub. I got a bunch of stuff there, and yeah. So, well, and thank you for having me on again. We've been talking a long time, but I like talking about Joomla. So
yeah, and that's it's great bouncing off the ideas and the issues that we come across and we're facing. And let's hope we don't leave it as long next time, because I'm sure AI is going to develop a bit more, and I'm sure I'll be emailing you, go, Tim, I've come across this, or I've done this, or we found this, or you never know. But a big thank you for coming on, Tim, and goodbye to everybody. Have fun with Joomla. Download it. It's free. Have a go. Learn how to set up your own websites. If you are interested in learning how to use Joomla and you want some advice or help, you need to contact him, or you can contact me. Leave a comment below. And if you want me to contact you, I'm offering some free training for a short period of time just to get you up and running on Joomla. You know, an hour's training just to get you started. And because we want more people using Joomla, it'd be fantastic if there was more people using it. So leave your comment below. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. But until the next interview, take care and bye bye, folks.